Hi everyone, Alchemist here. Thank you for your subscriptions, for your likes, for your comments. I truly appreciate it. Today, I'm going to read an extract from a dialogue of Hermes Trismegistus. Hermes Trismegistus is the founder of alchemy, and this is an extract from the texts of the Hermetic tradition, the Hermetica. Hermetica, which is basically a series of texts that were written by Hermes Trismegistus and his followers, and there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of wisdom that these texts have, and this extract that I'm gonna read for you guys is truly fascinating. It amazes me, and I just wanted to share it with you and see what do you guys think about it. So I'm gonna read it. It talks about God and what it is like to become God or become your own God. What is that all about? So let's get right to it. So this is Hermes Trismegistus speaking. And by the way, if you want to know more about Hermes Trismegistus, the Emerald Tablet, I have videos on this channel that address the subject, so you can find them. The Emerald Tablet, I give the details of the origin, the history of the Hermetic tradition and Hermes Trismegistus. So let's get right to it without further ado. So, and here, quote unquote, it starts like this. If then you do not make yourself equal to God, you cannot apprehend God. For like is known by like. Leap clear of all that is corporeal and make yourself grown to a like expanse with that greatness which is beyond all measure. Rise above all time and become eternal. Then you will apprehend God. Think that for you too nothing is impossible. Deem that you too are immortal and that you are able to grasp all things in your thought, to know everything, craft and science, find your home in the haunts of every living creature. Make yourself higher than all heights and lower than all depths. Bring together in yourself all opposites of quality, heat and cold, dryness and fluidity. Think that you are everywhere at once, on land, at sea, in heaven. Think that you are not yet begotten, that you are in the womb, that you are young, that you are old, that you have died, that you are in the world beyond the grave. Grasp in your thought all of this at once, all times and places, all substances and qualities and magnitudes together. Then you can apprehend God. And he's not done. There's one part that's left here, and it's very important. He goes on saying, but if you shut up your soul in your body and abase yourself and say, I know nothing, I can do nothing, I'm afraid of earth and sea, I cannot mount to heaven, I know not what I was, nor what I shall be, then what have you to do with God? Hermes Trismegistus. He's basically saying that if you are not to put yourself at the level of God, how can you know God? And if you're going to shut your soul in your body and say, I know nothing, I don't know anything, and you don't want to do anything with anything, then how can you say that you know what God is? And here, God, for me, I perceive it as existence, as the knowledge and wisdom of the unknown, of creation, of purpose, of if there is purpose, of just what it is to be, what it is to exist. That is what God means. And here, this is so beautiful because he says, if you keep saying that you know nothing and that you don't want to know anything and that you're just this thing that's just there, then how can you know creation if you don't put yourself at the level of creation? How can you know if you don't put yourself at the level of what knowing is? And in the beginning, he talks a lot about the concept of as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. He talks about this concept in the beginning as you have to embody everything, good and bad, dark and light, hot and cold, and here, as he was saying, dryness and fluidity, all of these opposites. And here we have again the Hermetic principle, and it is Hermetic, it's from Hermes Trismegistus, the Hermetic principle of polarity, which are the polars, the two extreme polarities that we have on Earth. Is these polarities that allow us to experience reality, hot and cold, high and low, love and hate, you know, these opposites. Without them we can't define reality. And he's saying that the more you embody these extremes, these differences, these opposites, you become everything. Then you know what God is, then you know what creation is, then you can put yourself at the level of God, at the level of creation. And that's what it takes. But if you just go on with life without apprehending, without questioning, without being curious, without just living, literally just like an animal basically, which is, animals live on instinct. They just eat, they reproduce, and then they die. So if you go on like this, how are you different than an animal? Animals are awesome, they are amazing. I love animals, but we have something that's called the mind. It's an amazing gift, it's an amazing tool, it's very advanced. It can do magic, it can do amazing things, but we don't use it. So if we're born as a human being and we're not gonna use this beautiful gift, which is the mind, to make this life magic and to understand what God understands, and I'm just using the word God here for lack of a better term. It could be a goddess, it could be creation. Some people like to call it oneness. People have different term for it. But if we don't put ourselves there, how can we know? How can we know what God is? How can we know what creation is? How can we come closer to creation? Everyone wants to be closer to creation. Everyone wants to rejoin oneness and all of these things. Yet no one is willing to do the work. No one is willing to question and embody creation, you know?